Hi, it's been a couple weeks and a whole lot's happened. I wanted to check in a week ago when the transactions per day broke 150,000, but that would have been lame because uh, it's now broken 200,000 transactions per day. And I don't know if this will be able to show it or not, but that's the beginning of time, and here's where we're at right now. We're talking exponential growth. It is mind-boggling. It really is. The whole world is adopting it at the same time. Even the U.S. California's just coming out saying they're friendly to Bitcoin, and everybody was waiting because New York had the bit license, so it spooked a lot of the smarter people. They took off. They left the city, and some left the country. In fact, one really cool company, ShipShape.io. That's where it's really cool. You could instantly exchange different crypto coins. It went from America to Switzerland, opened it there just to get away from any potential regulations. Pretty sad, but I mean, it doesn't matter where you can still use Ship. You can use it here, no problem. It's an awesome program. It's so user friendly, but California, we're kind of waiting for if they were going to jump on New York's bandwagon, and no. I think what happened is they remember the .com and all the tech. California has its problems, but it benefited greatly from the technology that was centered in Silicon Valley in California and provided countless jobs, countless revenue for the world, So I'm glad to hear that they were smart about it. So it's pretty cool. I'm really happy to hear that. I mean, right now in the news every day, countries are opening up their exchanges, which is really great. If you remember, we have Circle and Coinbase now where your parents can have access to Bitcoin. It was very difficult just 6 months ago. You had to do your local Bitcoins and get them out to Starbucks, and who's going to do that other than some of us geeks? It's just not realistic. So, and that just brings a whole new class of customers that not only can learn about it, but they could partake in it. So, and that's not just happening here. I thought the U.S. would be the last because we already got all the good stuff, and thank goodness the tide shifted before all the smartest people in the room left, and that is really, really cool. Also, for some of the people, they're a little more the other thing I wanted to go over is how thinly traded, how small 3 or 4 billion for a world entity is. If you've ever traded a small or micro cap company, you quickly understand how hard it is to get a position. You have to slowly accumulate. Any big buys will just drive something through the roof, So any mutual funds or any big players they cannot realistically build a position. Even like Warren Buffett, it's mathematically not worth his time to buy something that's under $2 or $3 billion because of the sheer size, and that's buying the whole company. The whole company is not even for sale. There's a certain amount of share Bitcoins that are for sale on any given day. So what has to happen? It You have to build companies around it, and that's how bigger money can enter, or they can build a position over time. So the problem with that is not only big money can't come and play, if you will, but I don't know if you can see this. A lot of people don't understand the significance of the halving. The halving happens every 4 years. Right now, the security guards, the miners, they get 25 fresh, brand new Bitcoins every 10 minutes. And depending on the price, that's 800, 900,000 a day going to the security guards, which is an awful lot for the market cap. But the demand is definitely keeping up with the supply. The interesting part is in 4 years, it gets cut in half to 12.5. Last time this happened, it used to be 50. Every 4 years, it cuts in half. And roughly at that time, it was a couple dollars a Bitcoin. And the fourth year came and went from 25 to 50. 50 to 25. And obviously, that's very dramatic. So the price jumped to 200, 250 now, and even with the thinly traded, if a big buy order comes in, someone really wants the shares and doesn't want to wait, it's going to skyrocket the price. We've even seen that go up to $1,000 because they're not patient or speculators or whatnot. But just so you know, in 54 weeks, it's going to happen again. The reward's going to be 12.5, and once again, that's going to be just as dramatic. Some might think, doesn't that mean that the miners will get less? But no, they actually don't, because you just have to ask yourself, would you rather have 50 $1 Bitcoins or 25 $200 Bitcoins? So it all works out. The only thing that doesn't work out is the supply. So we're going to be quickly going to bits instead of Bitcoins. Over the next 54 weeks, when that happens, I think it's going to be very interesting when the supply cuts out. Like right now, a dollar is worth 3,469 bits, and that's what we're going to be. Yeah, that doesn't even show up, does it? That's what we're going to be trading in the future, not Bitcoins. Those are going to be going on 100 years of this process. 12, 6, 3, 2. Over 100 years from now, there'll be 21 million. Right now, there's 14 million Bitcoins in circulation. It's kind of funny. It's exact reverse of like the fiat system, where the line goes up. The supply drops down. It's not comical, but it's very interesting to see what happens when you reverse the process. You get quite literally exponential growth in value, and especially if you mix that with some type of adoption, meaning more people. So I would suggest over the next year to get yourself at least one Bitcoin, and maybe one for your wife or husband, children, or whatever, because they are definitely going to be a lot harder to get next year. A whole Bitcoin, you'll still be able to get the bits, like I said. Those will always be around, and that's the way it's designed, and that's the way it's going to go forward. The other thing is, with the halving, there's a couple things that are much different than, let's say, like the New York Stock Exchange or any other most mainstream stock exchanges. Since it's unregulated and anything goes, some of the things we're accustomed to are fair game. Like in the early days of our exchanges, with insider trading and run-ups and pump and dumps, those are all totally legal, totally allowed. I mean, there's not really insider because it's an algorithm. We could all read it, so that part takes care of itself. But if you're a large player and you want to get a position, like a multi-billion-dollar company, you'll have to manipulate the market. And all you got to do is read your history books, and there's plenty of ideas of how to do that. And I just want to shed a little light on that. So some of you that focus on the price, that's a lot. It's always a bad idea, but in this case, it's a really bad idea. I mean, it should be across the board. If you're looking at a company, you always focus on earnings, and the price comes and goes. There's millions of reasons and stuff for that. But anyways, what is allowed is to buy and to sell, and buying begets buying and selling begets selling, and they can just look back and how human nature works. And let's say you're a big company, you want to get a big position in it, you could do a pump and dump, just double the buys every day for a month, run it up, get the momentum going in that direction, and then sell off into that, uprise, and then slam it down, and then selling begot selling, and then you can pick up even a larger position, and over and over. Obviously, as the market cap gets bigger, that gets more and more difficult, and the buy and holds win every time with that situation because they ignore that. But now that Bitcoin has become king, it's become, the Windows or the Coca-Cola, or, if you're going to dabble in the altcoins or the other currencies, it dropped off the map. There's very few wallets, if any. I mean, there are some, but those are, you could have a small budget and manipulate those. So do not apply normal, be very careful. I would focus on the value and long term and not on the daily fluctuations. That I would, if you go over the math and believe in it, walk away or take a position or whatever and then turn it off, because it's only 3 or 4 billion. It's so easy to manipulate, even at this size. It's much harder, and it has to be bigger companies trying to get positions. But we're not just talking about Americans or Canadians. We're talking about global. We're talking about governments. We're talking about China, Russia, Germany. Any big player, any big central bank can easily manipulate. What they can't do is ever take your Bitcoins. They could just scare the crap out of you, and mess with your mind, shoot it up to 1,000 and then let it and then sell off. I mean, that's not hard to do. It's, but mentally it would be hard on someone who's maybe not familiar with that exercise of taking your eyes off the price and focusing on the value. I don't know how to better communicate that other than just turn off the computer. Anyway, so that's just something to be aware of, especially if you're gonna play with the smaller ones. Like, I literally saw Litecoin go from $2 to $10 and then back down to, well, 5. So it's still great, as long as people didn't get shooken or buy into it. Like I said, the buy and holds, they win. Long term, there's no losers 5 years in Bitcoin. There's only losers, the people that try to get in and out. And there's no marketing, there's no VIP of Bitcoin, but there is a lot of marketing for the competition. They could just say whatever they want. I mean, it's gotten so ludicrous. You have some of these big credit card companies saying they're looking into the blockchain. Like you could, they could say whatever they want. They could have two computers that now they're blockchaining together. But somehow that's secure without Bitcoin, and who's going to say any different? It sounds official, I mean, it's not. You got to have the vault, the security guard, the whole shabam for there to be no leaks in the boat. So using the word blockchain is nothing. All you would need is two computers and you can say it, because too bad the same guy has the password for, it's just absolute insanity. You can't have the blockchain without the Bitcoin. You can't have the Bitcoin without the blockchain. The Bitcoin computer network is 500 times bigger than the top 10 supercomputers. You're not going to get that with any other crypto. We're looking into the blockchain. And just so you know, the blockchain is not going to just change money. That is just a step. That's just the first step. I mean, if QuickBooks, I love QuickBooks, if they don't get on board, it's going to be wiped out, like MapQuest, because there's going to be a better one. Google Maps is better than MapQuest. It wiped it off the board. Accounting is no longer going to be credits and debits. It's going to be triple or quadruple entry bookkeeping. In other words, it's going to be on the international timestamp and locked there forever. Do you know what I'm saying? You're going to be able, the trustworthy publicly traded companies are going to be on the Bitcoin blockchain, so you can tap in and see exactly what's happening, and it's going to be released at the exact same moment to the whole world, so there's no problems. And the ones that are hiding and don't want to be on the blockchain, well, who's going to invest in them? I mean, accountants, lawyers, not obsolete, but a lot of their load with the disputes and the misunderstandings, it's all going to be recorded on the blockchain. Not only when you bought that pencil, where you bought it, and how much you paid for it, and the exact time is forever recorded, and who you sold it to. That memo pad is not hard. So I'm sure Intuit QuickBooks is pretty smart. Hopefully they lead the pack, but if they don't, it is literally audit proof. It's solid as a rock. Every phase, medical records. Can you imagine? You can go to the hospital, give the doctor your key to how much you want him to see, and he has every surgery, every appointment if you want. You have the keys, you have the control over it. But it's all time stamped. You can show them what you want, when you want, and how much you want. You don't have to memorize it or anything. It's all recorded on the blockchain, but encrypted to your desire. And so when I say this is just the beginning, it's not even the first step of the first inning. It's just mind blowing. When you have a world record keeping timestamp ledger, and with side chains, they're going to be able to expand it to unfathomable. We see the knowledge of man, horse and buggy for thousands of years, and then boom, 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 you get your first steamboat, tractor. Knowledge is doubling at an exponential rate now, and it's not slowing down. There's no signs of it slowing down. And with this no one even saw coming. No one even saw that we were going to be able to interact without a middleman. That changes everything. Every facet of business, every monetary design. In fact, it's a great exercise to see what it will not change. Much like the internet, what will it not change? You know, what industries will it not revolutionize or upgrade, you know? So, I mean, try to remember a time, you know, before we had computers in our phones. You know, you want to be an adventurer, go a day offline, you know, or a week. You know, you'd be surprised how much stuff you go online with, you just take for granted. But anyways, I'm running long.